If you're bored with your life right now, listen to this podcast and I will give you an 8-step battle plan to feel all kinds of awesome with your life.
Welcome to the Awesome Human Podcast, your path to total human optimization. Ready to unleash your 100%? Let's go.
So I was chatting to someone online the other day. He was a personal trainer and we were talking about self-development and reading. Now, if you follow me on social media, you will know I am a massive fan of reading books. I think they develop you, they develop your wisdom, they develop your insight. I'm sure I'm speaking to a converted choir here. Now, when we were talking about books, he was essentially asking the question, what books do I recommend like right now? And I said, hey dude, you're gonna have to be a little bit more specific because I read a lot of books. I'm quite a broad reader. For example, if you were to look at my key qualification, it's nutrition. That's the area I'm most trained in, but I don't really read that many nutrition books. I'm a very broad reader. So I sort of asked him about his reading, and the reason he was asking this question is because he was bored. He was bored with what he was learning. He was kind of bored with life. And I was asking questions to kind of unpick where this guy was right now. And I said, so why are you reading what you're reading? And he described what he was reading to me. And these books were centered around fitness, strength training, nutrition, coaching. He was a personal trainer. So that makes sense. I get it. But he was bored. And I said to him, well, where in your life right now do you want to experience more growth, more change? Like, where is there friction? Where's there frustration? Where have you been thinking about leaning into? And I gave him some ideas. I was like, maybe you're looking to develop a long-term wealth plan for yourself. Maybe you're looking to develop your mindset. Maybe you're looking to become a better parent if you're a parent. Like, talk to me about some things that you feel passionate about, but you're just not actually exploring right now. And he sort of reeled off some stuff and I was like, interesting, this is great. And it kind of transpired that he wanted to grow a bit more as a person. Like, he had this itch that more was there. He wanted to develop a better sense of self. He wanted to kind of calm his mind. There was some anxiety and fear there. And I was like, amazing. So I recommended a book to him, 2 books. And he goes, oh yeah, actually I've got one of those books. Like, I've been meaning to read it for ages. And I was like, well, firstly, that is your calling to read this book. Like, that is a sign, go away and read it. And what was happening here is this guy had just got stuck within the identity that he had created. So he was a personal trainer. He was into fitness. He trained clients. He trained himself. He learned about nutrition and fitness and coaching. He went to the gym. Like, there was so much baked into his identity as a personal trainer that when he was trying to lift his head out of it, he kind of couldn't. He was so stuck in the day-to-day, the routine, the habit, and probably expectation. Like, when we evolve in our career, we do develop or seem to develop expectations around what people think we should be doing. So I remember when I became a personal trainer, we were always told, like, keep learning, keep progressing, keep up with science, yada, yada, yada. And that is true. But that's true to an extent. What I mean by that is when I said earlier on, I don't really read that many nutrition books anymore or that much research, it's because I feel I know 98% of the information that's going to help people at large. So I don't choose to spend a huge amount of time learning more about nutrition because the return that I will get of reading more nutrition books is very, very, very low to the impact that I will create on either my own life or the lives of other people. Now, that being said, on a professional level, I should keep up with research. I should delve into different areas. I shouldn't just down tools completely, but I don't need to spend as much time there. Now, if you are someone that's incredibly kind of on the cusp of what's new, it's kind of almost a big part of your job to really stay up to date in a certain area, then of course invest time and CPD in growing your knowledge base in that area. But when you have most of what you need to serve the people or do the job that you need to do, then you can kind of back off. Because otherwise, like this guy had done, you end up becoming kind of bored of learning very similar stuff. So this guy was listening to fitness podcasts, nutrition podcasts, coaching podcasts, and he was like, I'm bored because I just feel like they're saying the same kind of stuff. And I'm like, they are saying the same kind of stuff because you're listening to the same kind of things. Now, you're sitting there probably listening or watching to this thinking, yeah, duh. But think how much in your life you are on autopilot. Is repetition. And it's because it's part of the identity that you have maybe, or the job that you have, or the routine that you have, or the people that you surround yourself with. And the problem is there's a high chance you can get bored and stuck and feel a bit dead inside your life. And that's what this podcast is about today, about becoming unstuck, becoming reignited with what you do, and realizing the habits and the thought processes that you are baked within. Now, if you're watching this or you're listening and you can hear me rustling some papers, I've actually printed some stuff out to help me with this show, because I've almost got so much that I want to try and get across in 30 minutes or less, which is my promise to you on this podcast. Now, when we think about our development as humans, I think there's a huge amount of value in developing macro skills. And what I mean by that is skills that help you transcend multiple areas of your life. So macro skills might be health information. So how do you look after your body, your health, your mind? Fitness, how do you move? How should you train? What does it mean to be strong, to have a certain amount of muscle mass? Nutrition, how do you fuel your body? How should you eat? What food shouldn't you eat because they make you feel a certain way? And then there's money management. Like if you're not good at understanding, money and how to invest and budgeting and all the rest of it, you're going to kind of struggle because the whole world evolves on this energy that is money. And then there's psychology, so how you function mentally and how you think. And I would, implore anyone to invest time in learning Stoicism because it helps with your perspective on many areas of life. And then there's maybe spirituality, like how well do you really understand yourself? How much awareness do you have about yourself, your behaviors, and how you interact with people and the world? And there are other macro skills. But what happens is when we learn these macro skills, it trickles down into lots of different areas. So for example, my time invested in learning multiple areas of psychology, so Stoicism, spirituality, behavioral psychology, has helped me has helped me try to be a really good parent, has helped me become a pretty good coach, has helped me become a decent communicator, has helped me be not too bad a leader, has helped me be a pretty good husband. That macro skill is able to filter down and infect a huge amount of areas because it's helped me gain a better understanding of myself, of other people, of effective communication, of how humans work and how they behave. So what I got this guy to do is say, right, you've got your head too far down a certain rabbit hole. I want to pull your head out and I want you to pick a new macro skill that is now going to infect multiple areas of your life. And what we ended up talking about was kind of mindset, psychology, and spirituality. And he was quite excited about this because there was an itch there that he wanted to scratch. And I almost just gave him permission to scratch that itch. So I said, right, We're going to go away and you're going to read the book called The Untethered Soul. Great author, Michael Singer. It's a great book. His second book, The Surrender Experiment, is a great book as well. And what we wanted to do with this guy is we were then going to start his journey to releasing some of the anxiety and fears that he had in his life, to understanding himself better, to be able to let go of a lot of stuff that was in his life, so kind of detaching from situations and thought processes, and start his journey to understanding himself better. And he was excited by it. He was excited by someone kind of giving himself permission. But what I want from you today is to give yourself permission to reignite your life in whatever area it is that you feel is sticky. Now, the reason why I think this is a problem for a lot of people is, in my experience, we are generally overly concerned about what other people think of us, what our co-workers might think if we start doing certain things, what our parents might think if we start doing certain things, what our partner might think. And the problem is that keeps us in a lane. And that lane, that road that you're traveling, will serve you for a period of time until it doesn't. And then we get bored, and then we get frustrated, then we get a bit low, and then all manner of health things can present itself. If it gets dark, then we might label ourselves as depressed. And we don't know how to get out of it because we're stuck between these expectations of other people, but also the drive, the pull of what we want for ourselves and for our lives. But then we think, it's a bit of effort. And then we kind of just go through the motions. And this is how we get bored with our life. This is how we get stuck. This is how we get unmotivated. And then multiple areas start to add to the frustration. And then we're kind of like, I don't know where to start. And then we make peace with the fact that we're kind of a bit bored, a bit unhappy with life, and then nothing changes. And I want to give you permission today to change. This is your moment, listening to this podcast now, to give yourself permission to be awesome, to be an awesome human, to be someone that is willing to grow and evolve into something incredibly special. Now, another problem within this is that a huge amount of people are guided in their life by their brain. We like to think logically about problems, and there's a huge amount of merit to that. There's a lot of merit about seeking the truth, seeking data, analysing scenarios, but ultimately, we have to be led by our heart. And we live in such a noisy world now that this is even more difficult. It's difficult to listen to ourselves and what it is that we want for our lives because there's so much stuff coming into our brains and bodies at any given moment. Think about the course of your day. Answer me this question to yourself right now. How much silence and stillness is there in your day? Where you get to just be, where you get to just think, where you get to just have a moment to just take stock of everything that's there. So many people wake up in the morning and we're on our phone, we're into the day, there's music on, there's a podcast on, we're into the car, there's another podcast on, we're at work, we're in meetings, we're on a lunch break, we respond to our WhatsApp VMs during our lunch break, we go on Instagram for a scroll, we go into our afternoon, we've got no more meetings, we've got busyness, then we get in the car, then we listen to a podcast, we get to the gym, we go to the gym, we listen to music, we get home, we put something on, we're cooking our dinner, we sit down, we watch TV, we go to bed, and we try and wind that busy mind down to be calm. And there's so much input. And the problem is with that is, again, it's layering more and more ideas externally into you as a human rather than you being able to spend a bit of time going inside and saying, what do I want with all of this? And when you're feeling bored and stuck and frustrated, you have to give yourself permission and time to be still, to work through what it is that you actually want, to work out these points of friction so you can find a positive way forward. Because with all the noise, all your brain is busy doing, all it's allowed to do is bring some kind of clarity to all the stuff that you've put into your brain. A huge thing for me right now is I'm trying to find as much silence in my life as possible, because I'm trying to spend a lot of time finding answers from within. That's what I'm trying to be guided by in my life. What do I want? Where am I going? Why? These are big questions, I get it. But when you're feeling stuck, and I'm not saying I'm feeling stuck, I'm trying to get to the purity of myself and my future while being present. And it's incredibly enjoyable when you get to that place. But when you're frustrated and stuck, you have to give yourself time to just see what's there, unpick it. And they talk about this in Eastern philosophy, kind of yogic traditions of like, get into the heart center. Get into the crux of who you are and what you want and what you're actually driven by. And what that links to is our intuition. I meet an extremely low amount of people that are even closely in touch with their intuition. And we could link that or describe it as just being in touch with your heart, your centering energy. And we only discover this more, we only develop this more, we can only listen by spending time doing it. And this is where the power of things like meditation can come in, because we spend time becoming still and quiet and observing our body and starting to look at certain energy centers, how we're feeling, the thoughts that are coming, through our body that we try and observe and don't attach to. It only happens through ongoing, consistent, prolonged periods of silence. And I get that you might be listening to this right now thinking, oh Ben, I don't have time to meditate for an hour a day. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to find moments in your day where you can start to go inward rather than spending time contextualizing all the stuff that's coming into your brain. Information, podcasts, social media, blah, blah, blah. It might be 10 minutes a day. That might be it. That's great. It might be the 10 minutes that you lie down in bed and let me just really think about the day. Let me contextualize it. Let me bring it home. If you can start there, if you can give it 10 minutes, then absolutely amazing, because we have to get close. We have to get back to what is inside, what is really guiding us. And you can only do it by spending time doing that. Just like you can only get fit by going out and doing fitness stuff consistently over time. This stuff is no different. And this will allow us to start to find the boldness within ourselves to go over our goals and what it is that we want. It will help you develop your values as well. There's so many values that we talk of, but how really in touch are you with them? And how does that relate to your sense of character? And how does that help you develop your confidence? When you meet someone that has strong values, a strong sense of who they are, you can feel the strength of their character, and they stand up for what they believe. Whether you believe in everything that they do or not, it is infectious. It's sexy. It's attractive. And you can be that person. You can be that person that's in touch with their values, strong, bold, confident, and has a real sense of knowing about what they're about and where they're going. Now, I am not telling you this stuff is, you're going to click your fingers, you're going to spend a bit of time just writing some stuff down, and it's all going to kind of come together. It will take time. It will take practice. It will take reading. It will take some meditation. It will take journaling, but you have to start. And it is such a rewarding journey. And what you'll find, and this is the crux of this podcast, is you will evolve as a person. The reason you are feeling stuck and bored and frustrated is because you have changed, or you're wanting even more change, but you're not allowing yourself for it to happen. I am 38, and if I was to go back and look at what I was doing at 32, I was running around, playing rugby, going to the gym 4 days a week, living at 1,000 miles an hour, traveling the world, drinking 2 to 3 times a week, like trying to balance it all. There was all sorts of stuff happening in my life, and it was very go, go, go. It was very alpha. It was very outward projecting. And at 38, I'm a dad of 2. I don't go out much. I don't drink anymore. Friday night, I went and did a cacao ceremony and guided meditation all around like inner love and being, and it was incredible. Loved it. The weekend, I was bowling around with the kids. We were outside, we're having barbecues. Like, life is just really different, and I've embraced every part of it because I've changed. I want different things, and I'm excited about all of it. And if you'd have told me at 32 that I'd be doing what I'm doing now at 38, I'd be like, mate, you're having a laugh. But I am, and I absolutely love it. And I'm allowing every sense of my character and what I want to evolve, and I'm not letting anyone get in the way of it anymore. I'm not acting out of fear. I'm not acting out of other people's expectations, because I've spent time going inward and worked out what I want to do. And do you know what? Because I have amazing people around me, they support me, they love it. And trust me, when you meet someone, regardless of what they do, and they stand up for what they do, they love what they do, it's infectious, even if you agree with it or not, because you get a sense of knowing from them, a sense of confidence. You see that they're leading their own life, and most people are usually jealous of that. But guess what? You can have that as well. And for me, this is the awesome human, allowing yourself to evolve and grow in whatever way and whatever direction that you want to. And if you were to look at the regrets of the dying, there's a famous book about this. It's all centered around not doing what you want to do in life, not making peace with who they were, not saying sorry to certain loved ones, not doing things that made them happy rather than working all the time. Let's not be that person. I get asked a lot as well by parents how I balance all the things that I do. And part of I feel what lies in people being bored and stuck and frustrated is that they're hanging too much on to an old identity of themselves. And when we grow, we have to evolve our identity. Like, I am not the man that I used to be. I'm someone that's very different. And I used to hold on to aspects of my identity because I just created that story in my head. But I'm not that guy anymore, and I've let go. And it's been beautiful to blossom myself. And I'm not expecting other people to see it. I don't need to. All that I need to know is that I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it, and that I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to give you a very quick 8-step battle plan to how for you to get unstuck, unbored, unfrustrated, and start to live with more passion, purpose, and awesomeness in your life. Now, this is in the show notes of this podcast. So if you don't write it down, you don't have to write it down. I know people listen to podcasts on a walk or on a drive or whatever. But this is the 8-step battle plan. 1, get rid of any negative or unsupportive people in your life, or at least learn how to distance yourself from them so their impact is minimal. Right now, I don't have a single negative voice, person, process, anything in my life. And I'm not saying that has always been like that. I've worked to get my life to that. But negative people, negative environments can be poisonous to our soul. And we've got to have the confidence to move away from that, or have better coping mechanisms and strategies on how to deal with those situations if they're unavoidable. Number 2, Start to spend more time in silence without the noise of social media, of podcasts, of external education. It's time to start to develop yourself from the inside out, not from the outside in. You can only listen to your truth by listening to your truth. Watch less TV, drive in silence more, go on walks without your phone, spend time meditating, start to journal, start to truly connect with yourself. Those are all just techniques for you to be able to do that. Number 3, get all of your physiological baselines catered for, which was the theme of my last show, State, Story, Strategy. So make sure you're sleeping well, eating well, moving well, so you can set yourself up to feeling good and actually actioning this stuff. Number 4, remove anything you rely on as a crutch. Remove alcohol as a crutch for stress relief. Remove drugs as a crutch for escaping yourself. Reduce your caffeine intake if you know it's excessive because you're relying on it to prop up your energy. Remove porn because you're trying to get a dopamine fix from it. Anything you lean on too much for self-care, we need to spend time without it and really lean in to that space of discomfort that you use that for. It's really important to get uncomfortable with this stuff to start to deal with it rather than papering over it. I know this is uncomfortable. I've been there. I've had to face this stuff head on. Number 5, write down everything that you dislike in your life right now and be brave and honest. Maybe listening really hard to your intuition and all those little spidey senses within. So it might be your job. God, it might even be your partner. Honor the feelings, everything. Hobbies you've got, the gym that you go to, everything. If there's friction, why is there friction? Write it down. And then right next to it, the action that would lead to a solution. What can you do to change the fact that you dislike that part of your life? If it's your job, it might feel quite simple. Get a new job. Now, I'm not saying that is easy to do. It might be a transition. It might be something you have to develop a plan around. You might have to retrain. Who knows? But your life deserves that change to happen, even if it's something that has to happen over time. And it's going to be tough. Be brave and develop long-term strategies around it. Because if we dislike things, we have to ask the question, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Number 6, write down a list of all the things that you love and bring you joy and how you can do more of these things. What is getting in the way of you doing more of what you love in your life? And be honest, because all we need to do is find strategies for you to do more of it. Number 7, get into breath work. This is probably the single best thing that I've done in the last 18 months. My recommendation, and I'm going to do a full podcast on this soon. Go find a Wim Hof half-day fundamentals course. They're cheap as chips. They're like 40, 50, 60 quid. So worth it. Learn about the methods. Start to invest time in the power of the breath and the intentions that you can use to develop and unravel yourself in those breath sessions. Incredibly powerful. Freaking love breath work. My God. And it's free. And over time, it will help you learn to be heart-led, not head-led, through the transformative power of breath. Now, of course, other learnings have to be done alongside this, but it's a great start. Number 8, find your new tribe. What group or coach or friend can aid you on this path that you want to walk and work together to achieve your vision for yourself? I have friends and coaches and mentors that all help me with this stuff. This isn't a solo journey, so don't think you have to walk it alone. Now, I get that this podcast might have raised quite a few questions for you. I hope it's made you think. Jesus, for some people, you might have even cried. And do you know what? Good, because it's the start of change. It's the start of a release. It's the start of a realization that there is more out there. And that is the awesome human way. Having the ability to live a life on your terms in good health, with vitality, with awesomeness, which is an energy. Right, I'm finishing the podcast. All I'm going to ask you to do at the end of this show? 3 things. 3 things I'm going to ask you to do. 1, go to the show description and review the 8-step battle plan so that you know what to go and do. Number 2, if you think of a friend that could benefit from this podcast, please send it to them. It will help them if you feel helped by this show. So please send it on. Number 3, I want to keep giving you value, but I want to keep growing this show. I want to keep growing this message, and I would like your help. Please go and leave a review of this show on whatever platform you listen to it on, because it will help other people make the bold move to listen to this show. There's a million podcasts that people could listen to. You've chosen this one. Thank you very much. But I'd like other people to choose this one, and sometimes the review can be all the difference when people decide to listen to a show. Thank you for listening. There are your 3 actions. Go review the battle plan. Send this on to someone else if you feel like it impact them. And then please go write me a review. Keep being an awesome human.